Hello, everybody. Welcome. Come on in, share as you're coming in. I'm so excited for tonight's conversation and just us learning and talking about just a very, not only important topic, but just being able to hear someone's journey, which I think is so important. I'm excited because this is actually my first author story time since last season. Shar, you like kicking off this new season with us, and I think it's important. I think it's an important topic, and I'm excited. So as people are coming in, let us know who you are. Say hello in the comments. I do want you to know that as we are talking, I do have some questions that I have put together. But any questions, any comments, any reactions that you want to share, put it in your send it in, and it'll come through on our side, and then I'll make sure that I include it in our interview. So we're gonna just jump in, and I will just mix it all in as we talk. And so we're first going to start off with saying I am so excited for tonight's author. I'm going to let her introduce herself, and then we will get into why we all are here.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sharhianna Fulce, and I am the author of Imagine Me and You. I am also a preschool administrator. I've been a preschool administrator since 2005, but I've been in the field of early childhood education since 1996. So just don't count, just leave it alone.
Look at it. Where are you from? You from Chicago?
I'm from Chicago, South Side.
All day. Yeah, I love it.
I'm a suburban girl now, though. I'm the burbs. I'm sorry. I still love it. But
you still love the city though.
That's where you go for the good food. You go for the good jerk and all of that. But South Side and the suburbs.
Yes. So we got some people that's saying hello. I want to make sure we acknowledge you. So we have Jayden, that's on here. Hey, Jayden. I saw your comment earlier saying you were excited. We have Lynette who says, I am a proud mom here.
That's my mama.
That's your, hey, mama. What's up, mama? She said, a proud mom. I'm so excited. Mom, make sure you are sharing this. Share the link. Share with the family so everyone can be joining in as we are talking. So we got Jayden and we have our mama in the room. So we're going to go ahead and jump into our first question as to when did you start writing this book? So we're going to get into the meat of it and the inspiration behind it. But I want people who are watching to know, like, how long did it actually take you to this book?
So I actually had the push to write the book in January of 2019. And it was it was recommended. Me and my therapist were talking, and she was like, I just think you need to write down your feelings and, maybe write some poems. And she didn't know who I was. She didn't know I was going to make this into a book. You can't tell me just write down a poem.
Right.
Turn into a thing. And so I started writing and nothing fit. So I actually have maybe 3 books that could have been, but nothing felt right. And so one day I was just in a quiet space and started writing, and this book was probably done in 15, 20, maybe 30 minutes.
Wow.
So, but I just needed that space to just kind of feel the words. And it was like, I was staying up late at night and it just came like this. So January 2019 is when I got the push. And it was probably a couple months later, maybe May, June, when I had everything all written out.
So when you say you needed that for that inspiration, that leads me to my next question. Like, what inspired you to write this book? If you had all these other concepts, what made you be like, okay, this is the story?
Because as an early childhood educator, I love books. I have probably more children's books than most children. So it was a love of mine, and I knew I wanted to write a children's book. And with my experience with miscarriage and pregnancy loss, I just kind of felt like I knew what I needed, and I couldn't find it. And so when I wanted to write this book, it felt weird because I'm like, it needs to be an illustrated book. But adults don't have a lot of illustrated books. I didn't want it to be a comic book. I wanted it to be something soft and something that wasn't real aggressive. I didn't want people to cry.
Right.
But I wanted them to feel whatever they needed to feel. And it had to feel right to me first. Because when I wrote the book, I honestly felt like if I'm the only person who buys this book, I'm fine with that. Mm. But I'd like some more people to.
Right. But I think you said something that still is like resonating in my mind. Like, I know what I needed. And a lot of times when we are creating anything, whether it's a business, if it's a product, if it's a service, we're creating because there's a lack.
Yes.
Right? Like, someone is looking for this and they're looking for this to be fulfilled. So as you just said, like, man, I knew what I needed and I didn't see it. So let me create this. There is definitely an audience that needs the same thing, right? And they're looking for it. They don't know how to put it in words. They don't know how to put it in pictures. They just know that they need it, right?
And another piece to that was my audience wasn't just mothers of loss or families of loss. It was also my physicians, my doctors who didn't know what to say to me and where to send me and didn't have the compassion for me that I felt they should have had. And so I've taken this book to my doctor's appointments. Like, if anyone comes in here and you don't have the words, give them this book. Because I have resources at the back of the book to help. The ones that the resources that help me are the same ones that I listed there. So it wasn't just for the mothers of loss. It's for the people who have to interact with them that just may not know what to do. I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah. I did the research. Just give them the book. They'll be.
Yeah. You know, it's so funny you just said that. It made me think about, so even with me and my journey. So I have a son. He's 10. And my pregnancy in itself was pretty smooth. My delivery was rough. Like, I went in to be induced on a Thursday. I ended up having a C-section on a Saturday, right? So it was like 2 or 3 days of a lot of issues, a lot of poking and prying and me crying, like, why am I still pregnant? Like, what's going on? And, I mean, it was a lot, to the point where it ended with my son also being in the NICU because of all of the trauma and all the stuff to my body. He had breathing issues. So he was in the hospital a whole nother week after having delivered him. And I remember when we were going to get discharged, they ended up keeping me, at the time, my husband, there longer because they were like, we didn't want, we just had you stay. And they just gave me this pamphlet for postpartum, right? They're like, what you went through, most women end up having postpartum. So here's a handout. We have a group, like, you could just tell they just didn't know how to talk to me. It was just very like, sign this paper. Here's the information. And I love
saying we talk to you.
Right, just check the box, right? So then, of course, at that moment, I'm okay. But then I get home, and I suffer for like some months with postpartum. Like, I actually went to the therapy and all of that. But I remember that vividly. It was a very weird transaction. Like, I could tell the nurse didn't know what to say. She was just kind of like, here you go. And even in the car, I remember telling him, like, that was weird. Just because, like, hey, this is the resources we have. But they didn't necessarily know how to connect with me. Like, and I feel like part of it, not that they didn't want to connect, they just didn't know how to. And so even you saying that, I feel like that's true. Like, a lot of these conversations is not just for the patient or not just for the person who went through the experience, for those who, like you said, are supposed to support or supposed to give guidance, like giving them verbiage that they can use, Yeah. Have you got any feedback from any physicians or anyone about your book yet?
So the doctor that I had a very difficult experience with, I sent her several copies and a very long letter. It took me 2 years to write the letter, but I wanted her to know what my experience was with her office and her as a physician, as a Black female physician. And I have not heard from her, but I have heard from some other of my doctors. I've taken them the book and things like that, and they have been extremely open and have shared it, and they're excited about it. They're like, this is so great. This is so great. Because I didn't know that some doctors also provide therapy. And so one of my doctors, she was like, I provide these services and this will be great.
Mm.
So she was really excited. She was like, "Oh my God, this is wonderful! This is wonderful! I'm going to share with everybody." So it's been positive.
I love it. And so if you're watching, I see more people are on here and commenting. Make sure we shout people out. Your sister in love is here as well.
Hey,
She
Miss
just
Leslie. So you
make
know who that is? Evan Roberts. That's his wife. That's my
oh
bestie.
my gosh. Hi. I've never met her personally. I feel like I know you though, because your husband's amazing. He loves you and he tells me about you all the time. This is great. It's a whole family affair. This is great. But awesome, awesome, awesome. So I did not know the connection between you and Evan. That's really awesome. So yeah, I think that even in us sharing right now, so as people are watching and will watch this later, like if they work with mothers in pediatrics or in the hospital or even in the healthcare system, just being able to know that this is a viable
Yes.
resource is so important. So as I'm looking forward to, we're going to have a live reading of the book. And while she's reading, I'm going to have at the bottom where you can purchase, where you can support, how we can continue to give to this movement of this story. But if you wanted to just give that shout out now, and then we'll also have it go on at the end. So, what would be the way that people could purchase the book?
Momsofm.org. So with this journey, I didn't want this to be something that, like, if I was a person, you know, of course, I'm a person who has experienced miscarriage before, but sometimes the people on the outside want to do something for the mom. And I have a email, nominate@momsofm.org, and you can nominate someone to receive a book or a care package. But momsofm.org, I have mugs, I have tote bags, I have candles, I have memorial bears. Of course, the book is there if you want to buy one and donate one, because for the most part, when people nominate, I do ask for a donation. But um, these books are for the most part sent out at no cost to the recipient, because I feel like it's important that they know that this was made for them by someone who understands.
I love it. So, we're going to, because I see, so Jayden, we got you. We're going to get to it. He's like, okay, what's the book again about? What is it? It's about pregnancy. So I want us to, which is going to lead us uh to that part. So let's actually talk about it at this moment, because that is a question. So Jayden, which I'm excited. So we have a book club that actually meets tomorrow. So if you are a mom on here and you have a child, they need to be a part of a community of kids that are really learning about a vast variety of topics. I invited my book club kids and their families here, so I'm so excited to have Jayden here. But his question was just that, so I want to make sure we answer it in real time.
Okay.
And he asked, "Hello, what's the book about again? Is it about pregnancy?" So could you kind of share? We're going to read the book, so you'll be able to hear it live, but kind of give a preview as to what is the basis and theme of the book.
So, one thing that I think is a misconception is that once you are pregnant, you have a miscarriage, that you just move on with your life. And that's not true. The day I found out I was pregnant, this child turned 21 in my mind. And I had dreams and hopes. And I was like, oh, we're going to do this and we're going to do that. And I'm going to do this. you know, like I was in it. And this book is talking about some of those things that I imagined experiencing with my child, and I had to give myself permission to feel this, because it wasn't that I didn't have the support of my family and friends, but I gave no instructions. No one knew what I needed. No one knew what my expectations were, but I didn't know what my expectations were either. And so, I just kind of kept myself in my own little bubble and did what I needed to do to be okay. But if my children were here, they would be celebrated. Everyone would know their names. There would be a parade on their birthday. It would be a thing. And so I just wanted to talk about some of those moments that I have missed. And in this book, it kind of goes both ways. It's the moments that I wanted to experience, but also from the child's point of view, that I would have wanted to experience this with you as well, because I just believe that I was blessed to be a mom to angels.
I love this. So, to kind of answer your question, Jayden, I think that even at 13, we had aspirations and dreams about what our lives were going to be, right? I think about when I was in middle school, I'm like, "Ooh, this is what high school is going to feel like in college." And I'll never forget, because I taught middle school. I would ask them, like, in 20 years, what would you see yourself, right? And everyone would say at some points, maybe having a family or traveling the world or all these different things, right? And so we never in our mind think about maybe some of the obstacles and challenges that might come along the way that may change the story up a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think that, and we all in some ways, because I think the conversation of loss can come in many forms, and loss is in many ways could be a not handicap you, but I think, as you just said, like, you don't know how to, in some ways, even give language to how to overcome it, right? And so, even though you're 13, even though whoever may be listening to this may not be a parent, maybe you are and you have experience, what we're speaking of. I think that knowing that there's a tool and resource for when life does happen, because life happens. um, I think it's just important that we're resourceful and we know how maybe something may not help me in this moment, but I can think of someone else that could help, right? Or someone else when that time comes, a resource of what they can use.
And another thing that I kind of found really interesting is so many of my friends' mothers experienced miscarriages that they never knew about. When they told them about my book, they were like, "Oh yeah, I experienced that," and they were like, "When? What?" So,
Yeah.
and it can be very traumatizing. And one of my friends was telling me, she was like, "My mother told me that that's why she didn't have more children, because once she had me, she just did not want to push it, because she only asked for one, and so she never wanted to try again, because she felt like she got her blessing, and she was like, okay, I'm done. I'm not gonna do it again, because I might have another loss." And she was like, "Mom, I didn't know that." But it's not something a lot of people talk about, and it was quite a few. I was really just shocked, because they were calling me like, might need to talk to my mother. I'm like, "Girl, you better leave me alone."
But I think I love the fact that you even brought that up, because I feel like I only know of Black culture, so I'm not going to say that it's not prevalent in other cultures, but I will say that within the Black community, we tend to suffer loss in silence and feel as if, um, in some ways, loss or any kind of, setback has something to say about you as a person, or like a stigma behind it. I mean, it's the same, I think, thing when we talk about like mental health. When we think about topics, even when it comes to I talk to mothers, who are a part of our programs, and maybe their child is autistic, or maybe have some kind of, it's like, I'm gonna say it real low so no one else hears it. You know what I mean? Or I don't know how you're gonna react, so let me kind of pause. And I believe that when you speak, you start realizing, like you said, we're more alike than different. It's like,
Yes.
really, you are definitely not alone, but you could feel alone because no one's talking about it, right? And so I think that's the other thing. Yes, it's a tool, but it's a necessary conversation start. When you know, like I shared earlier of a story of a close friend of mine who him and their wife have gone through some loss. And then I learned that it's a very common thing. Like, it's a very common thing for people to have miscarriages. I didn't know that. You know what I mean? So I think the same shock in which you shared, I'm like,
1 in 4 women.
Right. For it to be common, but yet it's not a common conversation, that's a problem. Right?
That is a problem.
So that means there's a lot of women who are suffering, like I said, or trying to be stronger than they have to be in silence. No.
I have more men nominate their wives and girlfriends who are experiencing miscarriage or loss than anything else, because they're like, I don't know what to do. Send something, send help.
Yeah.
So most of my nominations, like I've had people start group chats in Messenger, like it's somebody you need to talk to. I'm like, wait now, we're not doing that. But I mean, but I'm glad they have somewhere to go. If
Yeah.
you don't have anywhere else to go, come here
Yeah.
because I can help. I'm not licensed to do anything, but I've experienced it. I'm gonna tell people what I did, and we're gonna go from there. I'm not giving bad advice out here. I tell people you need to go talk to somebody, go to the hospital or something.
Yeah. Yeah. But you've created a community, right? Like, so maybe
Yes.
you need additional support. I'm not that, but this is what I can give you, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a perfect segue to this weekend, which you could talk about because of You Brunch and also a branch of your org, Moms of M. Just kind of share about what those both will be about, and then at the bottom, if you haven't noticed, I have the website where you can go and purchase the book and learn more about the org. So let's start with Because of You Brunch.
So the Because of You brunch is, so today we're doing this today because it is Infant and Pregnancy Loss Awareness Day. The month of October is our month, but today is our day. So I reached out to Dream. I was like, I got a book. Can I read it on our day?
Of course.
She was like, sure, let's do it. But I've been very intentional about when I've done the brunches. I did one. The first Sunday in May is Bereaved Mother's Day, which is the Sunday before Mother's Day. And I had a brunch that Saturday as well. And these are fundraiser brunches. As I said, a lot of times, the funds that are brought in through the fundraisers or donations, period, that's what helps with the shipping of the books and putting the packages together and ordering more supplies. Like I've already gone through. The book was printed in April of 2021. April of 2021. I'm already on my second 100 books.
Wow.
So that's what's going on. So I wanted to make sure that I was able to continue this. I don't want it to stop because I don't have the money. So I've been intentional about the days that I'm having these fundraiser brunches. And so that's what it's for, to raise money so I can ship the books out, so I can ship the care boxes out, so that I can continue to get more supplies, because it's just me. I don't have a team. It's me in my basement. Putting everything together to make it something special for the moms. And Moms of M is mothers of miscarriage, even though it is for mothers of pregnancy loss. My story is a story of miscarriage, but other people have another story and another journey. So, yes.
Thank you for sharing. I just want to share this before he goes. So Jayden said, "Thank you for the opportunity to be here and to get open my horizon about this book." He has to go and finish his book for a book club to borrow, though.
That's right.
Go to finish. You better finish. You better be ready for the borrow. So let's continue with, because you already mentioned it a few times, the illustrations, because um, I think it's true, right? When we think about books for us, it's all words and no pictures. But I believe pictures are stories in themselves, right? It's just like if you look at a photo album, you're in memory lane. It tells the story of itself.
Mm-hmm.
I think even as adults, that's why we love children's books. And to be honest, I think more adult books should have pictures because it will help what they're trying to relate come alive, right, and help us to really be pulled in. Because sometimes some things are, you get the full experience because of the pictures. So let's talk about, for your book, as we'll see soon, storytelling through illustration. So what were some images that you wanted to make sure were definitely a part of this book?
So with my journey, I was never pregnant enough to be seen as a pregnant woman. So I knew that needed to be something that for me. The images do kind of look like me in certain times of my life. And I wanted it to be not just, a boy or a girl or a specific age group. I wanted it to be over time. And so there were some things that I was extremely specific about, like, no, it needs to look like this. And my illustrator was amazing. It ended up being the entire team that worked on my book. They were all moms of miscarriage.
Wow.
So my illustrator was a mom of like everybody.
Did you know them before this?
No.
See?
No. When I start telling people about my story, because you got to talk to people before you work with them to make sure it's a good fit. And every time it was like, I have to work on this project because I'm a mom of miscarriage. And I was like, this is crazy.
Exactly. I think about the guy move. Be like, look, this is cool and what and how.
Yep. It kept happening. And I was like, and then in the middle of me writing the book, I was looking for a house. And I was like, okay, I could do the house of the book. So I thought I didn't get the house. Then they came back and said, oh, yeah, you can get the house. And so I had to pay for the book, pay for the house at the same time. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do this, but I know it's going to work out.
Yeah.
Like, because it was a lot of days I was like, I don't have no more money. I don't know what money. And my illustrator in Serbia, of all places. So I was like, ma'am, I can't keep sending thousands of dollars to Serbia. They are going to shut this whole loan down.
I was like, what are y'all really doing here?
She was like, I understand. But she was amazing. She was amazing throughout the whole process. And I loved working with her. I think I was pretty cool too.
Yeah. I love it. So it is the moment we all have been waiting for. We are going to have a live reading of her book. The title, Imagine Me and You. Just being able to hear from the author the emotions, the mood, the pictures, and then we'll have a few more questions afterwards. I'll put in the chat if you have comments, if you have questions that you would like for me to pose, don't hesitate to put them in the chat. I will bring them up. If not, hopefully you're just enjoying us chatting it up right now. And then after she's done reading, I'll come back on and we'll continue on with our conversation. So now we have Imagine Me and You.
Yay! So this is the cover right here. And I love it because it's just like a little nice wrapped up gift. So I was very intentional about making this a book that, in the Dr. Seuss books, it has this book belongs to, this book is in memory of, and taking a moment to write a note. Wait till you see these illustrations, though. You're not ready. Trying to see where we are. Let me come back a little bit. So it's, Mom, I know I am loved because you told me. See, this is what we didn't practice. I know I'm remembered because you show it. Let me see. I have a big imagination, and that's what I want you to know, Mom. And I have my baby. I have a little puppy. So my baby, he snuck in there. And then my due date was just my last pregnancy. My due date was the 23rd. So she put some special touches in there for me. I love fireworks. And so it's one of my favorite things. Let me try and turn a little bit. I imagine your hugs and kisses when I'm missing you most. I imagine celebrating the holidays with you and family. I imagine you taking care of me when I'm sick. I imagine Christmas morning and all the magic you'll make that day. Because I love Christmas. You see my baby? I imagine losing my first tooth and you making the tooth fairy a big deal. And then that's $20 going out of that pillow, people. I imagine all the pictures that you will take on my first and last days of school. I imagine traveling the world and seeing the beautiful sights that the world has to offer. I want you to imagine some things with me. Imagine me kicking you in your belly. Imagine me making you crave the craziest foods. So that's peanut butter, watermelons, pickles, ice cream, all the wonderful things. Imagine seeing your belly grow more and more as the days go by. Imagine the day that you know you'll get to see me for the first time. Imagine holding me and knowing that it was all worth it. Imagine the sleepless nights and unending laundry. Imagine my first rollover and how you'll be convinced that I'm a genius. Imagine my first steps and stumbles. Imagine my first word and how many times I will say it repeatedly. Imagine my hugs and snuggles that will be the best thing you have ever felt. Imagine me wanting to be with you as much as imagine me wanting to be with you just as much as you want me there with you. And then I have the resources here. And that's the book. Imagine me and you.
Wow. That was so beautiful. Oh my gosh. Can we in the chat put in how we reacted? It shows me visually like 15 people are on here. We have absolutely loved this book is an adult picture book. We have someone on Facebook said beautiful illustrations. Leslie again said, wow. I think so. Before I even share what I think, what because you go like back and forth of like who is sharing the memories, right? So where did that idea come from for this book?
Because I think that's what's important about this book, that it's not just about what I'm missing out on. But I know that in my heart, I believe that I'll see my children someday. And this may be their story. Like, you didn't get to experience this with me, but I do feel like I'm privileged to have carried them, as no matter how short a time or how long a time, that it was a privilege that I had those moments. And so I don't take that lightly, but I think that they miss me too.
Yeah. So in
'Cause I'm
writing,
dope.
look now, look. Gotta let them know. I was sitting here thinking though as you were writing, and even when I read this before today, I'm like, wow, this is heavy, right? I mean, and I don't necessarily mean heavy like you said. It's not heavy as in like sad, but you could connect with like man wanting something and imagining something and like what could have been and what should have been, right? And so in writing this story, I know you said it didn't take long from idea to publication, but what is your support system, right? Like what support do you have as writing this book? Because I believe that going there means in maybe some cases going to things that not that you buried, right, or that you don't think about, but really envisioning them, making it come to life, I think is different than imagining in your head. Like these illustrations, as people keep saying, are absolutely beautiful. And it makes me think as if I was looking in a photo album, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so what was like your support and your comfort in this process? Because I'm sure that it may have been triggering.
Well, my therapist is bomb. Let's start there. Um, I wanted this book to be a book that made it okay to love your baby that isn't here. I didn't want it to be, because so many people, especially the older generation, oh, you just have another one. You know, it's okay for me to love my children and not say I don't have them, because that's not true to me, my truth.
Yeah.
But as far as my support in writing this book, just in all honesty, Evan was the person I called first. And I was like, Evan, I'm writing this book. Help, tell me what to do. He literally gave me some steps. I followed those steps, and I was like, you need to make a course. And so if you're trying to write your book, because everyone has a story to tell, Evan Roberts, he's on all social media, and he has a course that will help you through the process of writing your book. And I'm gonna plug him because he was very helpful. I also used the printer that I use is WDB, black owned company, and they were awesome as well. So Evan was amazing. I didn't have to learn as much because if I had a question, he was a phone call away. And I was like, okay, this not working.
Yeah.
And even when I was doing my contract with the illustrator, we had conversations. He was like, okay, because you do need someone who knows what they're talking about to look at those things. Now, my illustrator did my page layout. She did everything. So I literally sent the file to WDB and they were able to print the book. So that was invaluable. Somewhere else, I wouldn't have been able to do that.
Yeah.
But in some places want, to have all your things together. Your illustrator, everybody is in one company. So I'm still learning. I don't know it all, but I knew that this had to happen for me. I knew this book had to look like this for me.
Yeah. So I want you to know you are, like you said, you are dope. You are all those things, and I love that you use that because that's my favorite word. I use it all the time. But you are also an author, so that means you have a career. You have an additional title to your name. So what do you desire next in your career as an author?
So book 2 is coming. Book two
Ooh.
is in the works. Yeah. I don't know. Should I share a little bit?
It's your show. What you want to do? Keep them waiting. Keep them wanting more. What you want? You can share it now.
So, all right, y'all. So book 2 is coming, and book 2 is for the dads. So it is in the works. I have a co-author. I'm not gonna share. Look, I won't put all that out there yet, but I have a co-author. The book is named. It'll be ready soon. So book 2 is coming for the dads because we don't understand, and that's why I had to have a male co-author that understood. And so he's going to be a great resource for me because I know my story, but he's going to give me a whole different view of things for the dads, because there's a lot of men out here that don't have children and they want them. And it is not always just that, they're living their lives.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not a possibility for them. And that's something that's very well kept secret. So
I can imagine the way we talked about how it's a very unspoken conversation amongst mothers. I'm pretty positive it's probably non-existent amongst dads.
I mean, because even my friend, he was telling me sometimes, when people ask him, "Oh, do you have children?" I don't know. You go. I don't know how you did that. Good luck. And he like, "No, but I want them." It ain't good luck.
Mm-hmm.
Good job. He's like, "No,
Right.
that ain't it." So they look at that as a sign of, oh, how you do that. They
Exactly.
don't look at it like something's wrong with you. Like,
Or
man.
it's something that you're desiring to be, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I have, before we get to our next part, Lisa Robinson says, "I like you."
Thank you, Lisa.
And Leslie said, I still feel emotional every time I read that book. And I think that, you know, the book is a very necessary addition to all families.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that even that statistic you said, 1 in 4, we're we're in a room full of women. 1 in 4 of us have had a miscarriage. You know
Yep.
what I mean? And so I think just making it accessible for these types of books, and being able to know where you can go. So as you see at the bottom, the website, I personally am even going to commit to buying a number of them, because I just know that in the work I do with parents, I'm going to come across families that are going to need and love this book, right?
Yep.
To the point about Evan, that's why I was so excited when he wrote that book about autism, because I have a number of families who are like, man, and even my own son, I shared with him, I was grateful for that book because it gave even my son, who was in a classroom with an autistic student, language of like, oh, that makes sense. Like, oh, like, I think it just, in the same way, it's going to open up for kids who maybe are I think it's a different perspective being, when I spoke about my friend, they did have a child after their miscarriage, but what does it feel like being the child after the child of the miscarriage? You know what I mean? Like, that's a whole nother experience as well. I think it gives everyone language
Yep.
and a lane to talk, right?
And I did make sure that there wasn't a book like this out there.
Mm-hmm.
I saw books for children, because there's a book. It's Mommy Told Me I Have a Brother in Heaven, or something like that. But there was nothing like this.
This is truly a ministry, is what someone else just said as well. And so, you all, I feel like I'm all about divine things, the way things work. This is a perfect segue to the way I love to close out every conversation in connection to what we're talking about. And so I'm a very big person about the words you speak. I think words are powerful. I think words are, like they talk about, life and death is in the tongue. That is so
Mm-hmm.
true. And I think even us having a conversation that could go either way. You could feel as if you're talking about death or you're talking about life.
Yeah.
I think affirmations, though, are words and things that we have to learn how to say to ourselves because it keeps us focused, it keeps us encouraged, it keeps us hopeful, it keeps us understanding that there is purpose in all things, right? I think, as someone just said, this is a ministry, and you keep talking about people coming to you. They supposed to be coming to you, so you better. I don't know if you need to get a second phone line. I don't know what you need to do, but when we start getting this book out and start doing these events, you can't, turn away what God has called you to
Oh,
be
and
for
I'm not.
people. You know what I'm saying? And I think that, I don't believe that's what you're doing, but I think that you're seeing more and more that there's a reason why it came through you, right? So what are, some words of affirmation or things that you may say to yourself, or even in this moment that you may want to create, that we can kind of close out tonight with?
Well, every day, my one of my affirmations is that I am whole each and every day, because I don't want to feel like I'm missing something. I'm whole.
I like
I'm
that.
whole in any space. So that's my affirmation. I am.
Mm. I'm gonna take that.
No, because that just covers so many things for me, and it helps me to be like, okay, I'm whole.
Yeah,
I'm not
and I
lacking
think,
nothing. I'm lacking. I lack nothing.
that that is a part of, even recently, I've been a lot, I feel like I'm on this like evolution of who I am, right? And I think even in evolution, as we mature and grow, we go through stages. I'm not like I like that because I also tell myself, but you're not operating out of lack. You know what I mean? Because I think sometimes people be like, I'm gonna be whole when I do
Mm-hmm.
blah blah blah, or when this happens, or no, I'm whole right now.
Yep.
I'm the way I'm supposed to be in this very
I'm the
moment.
wholest I'm gonna be today. For on today, this is the wholest you got.
This is the holiest you gonna get. It don't get no more holy, okay? It is all you get right now. I love it. Yes. I am whole. I'm not even gonna share mine. That's mine. I am whole, y'all. That's what we gonna leave. Type in the chat like we in church. Type in the chat. I am whole. Okay? Y'all better tell that to yourselves every day, every single day. Well, I am so excited as we're coming to a close. This has been my pleasure and my honor to talk to you. I'm so excited that you wrote this book. I'm grateful. I want you to know that for those who will watch this later, for those who are watching now, I'm pretty sure that many of us they've already expressed in the chat, are just excited that this is even an option for us,
Mm-hmm.
right? I am excited to hear about this brunch because I know it's going to be amazing.
It is.
It's going to be amazing.
My
Please.
wonderful awardees. I'm just ready. I'm
Yes,
like I've been
awardees.
like a kid at Christmas. One of my friends texted me yesterday and she was like, 2 sleeps and a wake up. And then I was like, because that's how excited I've been. Like 2 more sleeps and a wake up. I'm like, girl, we sound like some kids.
Like Christmas, I ain't going to sleep. You said Christmas your favorite holiday. I ain't
It
going to
is.
sleep. I ain't going to sleep. I'm just going to wake up. But I know it's going to be amazing. Please, I knew my book club was tomorrow, so I couldn't come. But please keep me posted on
I will.
everything, anything else that you have coming up, because I do want to support it and I want to be connected and stay connected. Again, you all, you see at the bottom where you can purchase this amazing book, Imagine Me and You. Donate, because again, maybe you don't feel like at this moment that you can think of someone, but you could bless that someone else can get it that needs it at the important time, and money doesn't have to be an issue as to why they can't get it. So go and donate, go and see how you can be involved, go so you can continue to follow Shar. And this has been our author story time. I hope that you
Yay.
all have enjoyed it. Thank you for all who joined us and for those who will watch later. And good night.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. You're the dopest. You're the holest. Who else could I have gotten there? Like, come on now. I'm excited. Thank you. And I will definitely be in touch.
All right.
All right. Good night, you all. Bye.